Good morning and welcome to the Daily Connect. My name is Raymond and I'm so glad you could be a part of this time together. We are giving our best part of our day over to the Lord so that we could hear His voice and be guided by Him and to see where the Lord is leading us, who the Lord is calling us to be. We have been going through the book of Jeremiah, and if you've been following along, the over almost three, I would say 2/3 of the readings that we've been going over thus far have been, I should say, 2/3 of the book of Jeremiah has been focused on the judgment that is to come, the warnings to the southern kingdom of Judah from God through the prophet Jeremiah, and all the challenges that Jeremiah went through, starting from yesterday, starting from chapter 39. Now we're looking at what happened after the siege, after Babylon has entered in and breached the wall and has burned down the temple and all the calamity that comes from basically judgment that is being fulfilled here. Today we're going to be looking at Jeremiah chapter 40, and it's going to be focused on really two things. One, what I see as this deliverance once again, and then also this coming fragile situation that threatens to upend the rebuilding that's going on. So let's go ahead and take a look at Jeremiah chapter 40. Really quick, I just want to say good morning to each and every one of you. Good morning to you, Joanna, to Rich, to Jeanette, and to everyone that's watching live, joining me on this time. Thank you so much. And let's gather up together, pull up a comfortable chair, grab something warm to drink, and let's take a look at Jeremiah chapter 40. Jeremiah chapter 40. I titled this "The Fragile Nation," working for and against the rebuilding. Jeremiah chapter 40, all of chapter 40, in fact. Let's take a look. Starting from verse 1. The word that came to Jeremiah from the Lord after Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, had let him go from Ramah, when he took him bound in chains along with all the captives of Jerusalem and Judah who were being exiled to Babylon. The captain of the guard took Jeremiah and said to him, "The Lord your God pronounced this disaster against this place. The Lord has brought it about and has done as he said, because you sinned against the Lord and did not obey his voice. This thing has come upon you. Now behold, I release you today from the chains on your hands. If it seems good to you to come with me to Babylon, come, and I will look after you well. But if it seems wrong to you to come with me to Babylon, do not come. See, the whole land is before you. Go wherever you think is good and right to go. If you remain, then return to Gedaliah, the son of Ahikam, son of Shaphan, whom the king of Babylon appointed governor of the cities of Judah, and dwell with him among the people, or go wherever you think it right to go." So the captain of the guard gave him an allowance of food and a present, and he let him go. Then Jeremiah went to Gedaliah, the son of Ahikam, at Mizpah, and lived with him among the people who were left in the land. So what are we seeing in these verses here? So, as I mentioned yesterday, there are some commentaries that look at this as a parallel narrative to what we just read in Jeremiah 39, or it could be sequential. This actually may have taken place after the first arrest, and that he was indeed arrested a second time. And it's more likely to be the latter, that he was found and arrested again, as after he was released from the court of the guard, he probably got back in line to identify with his own people, uh, perhaps just to show that he did not betray his people. And so he went back into the line to be exiled, only to be found by Nebuzaradan, who then recognized Jeremiah, pulled him out of the line, and basically was released once again. That's probably the more harmonizing narrative that I would say is going on here, and that's what some commentaries would agree with. Verse 1 starts off with an introduction to an oracle. Thus says the Lord, or a word came to Jeremiah from the Lord. But the reality is the oracle actually doesn't start until chapter 42. We're only on chapter 40 here. But chapter 42, verse 9, is when it actually starts. What else do we see here? Jeremiah is also found in chains among the exiles by Nebuzaradan. And he's released to Ramah, which is understood as a staging place about 5 miles out from Jerusalem, where the exiles are taken to, probably prepared before the final trip to Babylonia. Now, regarding Nebuzaradan, it's quite interesting that a pagan worshiper, someone who typically worships Marduk, would become theological at this moment to say your God, or in fact, what does he say here? The Lord your God, the Lord your God. How one would worship a pagan god would then recognize this other God. It's quite unusual, and to go to be so theological as to say you have sinned. All of this is because of your sin, because you have sinned against the Lord and you did not obey His voice. It's quite interesting, but it's not so far fetched, because Nebuchadnezzar himself is found to have acknowledged the Most High God in Daniel chapter 4 verses 2 and 3. So it's not out there so far to believe, but it's quite interesting to note here. Nebuzaradan invited Jeremiah to come to Babylon. Instead of being dragged to Babylon, he is invited to join him in Babylon, but it is ultimately Jeremiah's choice. He also invites Jeremiah to go anywhere he likes, and he would be provided for. He would be given provisions and some present. It's not clear what it is, but clearly they acknowledged Jeremiah. They wanted to express some form of courtesy to him. And instead, in light of all of these choices, Jeremiah chooses to remain with his people, and so joins with Gedaliah, who is appointed as governor over Judah by Nebuchadnezzar. And the reason why he chooses to remain is to help rebuild. Again, drawing from what we learned in Jeremiah chapter 39, he wanted to remain and rebuild his nation. Let's continue on here, starting from verse 7. When all the captains of the forces in the open country and their men heard that the king of Babylon had appointed Gedaliah, the son of Ahikam, governor in the land, and had committed to him men, women, and children, those of the poorest of the land who had not been taken into exile to Babylon, they went to Gedaliah at Mizpah. Ishmael, the son of Nethaniah, Johanan, the son of Kareah, Sariah, the son of Tanhumeth, the sons of Ephi the Netophathite, Jezaniah the son of Makathite, they and their men. Whew, it's way too early for all these different names. Forgive me if I mispronounced them. But here, you see the start of Jeremiah being absent from this narrative. In fact, he would not be mentioned in these verses until Jeremiah chapter 42. What we also see is that the news of Gedaliah being appointed as governor would spread throughout the land, and was chosen to lead the poorest of the poor in the land. That they had all gathered around Gedaliah at Mizpah, and so did these mercenaries, these soldiers, these people that probably had fled from Jerusalem, hid in neighboring areas, and upon hearing it, came out of hiding and joined up with Gedaliah. And they all joined at Mizpah. Mizpah would become this new governmental center set up by Nebuchadnezzar. It would be the place. It would also be the place that the first king was chosen for Israel, going all the way back to 1 Samuel chapter 10. So Mizpah is a very significant place in the context of the Old Testament. Let's continue on, starting from verse 9. Gedaliah the son of Ahikam, son of Shaphan, swore to them and their men, saying, "Do not be afraid to serve the Chaldeans. Dwell in the land and serve the king of Babylon, and it shall be well with you. As for me, I will dwell at Mizpah to represent you before the Chaldeans who will come to us. But as for you, gather wine and summer fruit and oil, store them in your vessels, and dwell in your cities that you have taken." Here, Gedaliah gives assurances probably to a bunch of unwilling people, and he assures them of amnesty to serve Nebuchadnezzar, to serve the Babylonians. Quite a tall order, especially in light of the Babylonians having destroyed their center of worship and have really ravaged the land. But here, Gedaliah works on gaining their confidence, assuring them that he's going to represent the people before the Babylonians, and assures them that they have amnesty from any further attacks. Gedaliah would remain in Mizpah, and he would act as the mediator before the people, for the people before the Babylonians. And now, entering the end of summer, it was time for the harvest. But also note that it didn't make any mention about grain, and for good reason. The last 18 months, they had not had an opportunity to plant any grain, and so there was no grain until probably another year, for at least another year. But the vineyards and all these other crops, they have not been destroyed by the Babylonians, and thus they have something to harvest and to be sustainable at this point. Verse 11. Likewise, when all the Judeans who were in Moab and among the Ammonites and in Edom and in other lands heard that the king of Babylon had left a remnant in Judah and had appointed Gedaliah the son of Ahikam, the son of Shaphan, as governor over them, then all the Judeans returned from all the places to which they had been driven, and came to the land of Judah, to Gedaliah at Mizpah, and they gathered wine and summer fruits in great abundance. So this is encouraging, because now we see all the people coming out of hiding, and this is not just in the neighboring Judean land, but probably as far out as wherever all the Judeans had fled to. They heard the news. They heard that the siege was over, and they're now returning back to Judah. And they're trying to rebuild and restart their lives. Verse 13. Now Johanan, the son of Kareah, and all the leaders of the forces in the open country came to Gedaliah at Mizpah and said to him, "Do you know that Baalis, the king of the Ammonites, has sent Ishmael, the son of Nethaniah, to take your life?" But Gedaliah, the son of Ahikam, would not believe them. Then Johanan, the son of Kareah, spoke secretly to Gedaliah at Mizpah, "Please let me go and strike down Ishmael, the son of Nethaniah, and no one will know it. Why should he take your life, so that all the Judeans who are gathered about you would be scattered, and the remnant of Judah would perish?" But Gedaliah, the son of Ahikam, said to Johanan, the son of Kareah, "You shall not do this thing, for you are speaking falsely of Ishmael." We see the fragile nature of this nation here. There's an assassination plot that is heard, that they became aware of, against the governor, and it was sent by the king of the Ammonites, Baalis. But why Ishmael? Ishmael was listed as one of the first people to really rally around Gedaliah, going all the way back to verse 5. But here we see that there's some other nefarious plan in motion here. Now, maybe Ishmael was jealous. Maybe Ishmael was angry with the Babylonians. We're not exactly sure. It's not explicitly spoken of here, but there is this assassination plot, to which Gedaliah basically says, I refuse to believe it. Even when Johanan wanted to have permission to basically take out Ishmael, Gedaliah dismisses that idea. Because again, this is a fragile moment in the nation, where people are just gathering together. They are the poorest of the poor. They have not been taken into exile, but rather they're left to fend for themselves. And their leader is friendly with the Babylonians. And now there's this assassination plot that could take out Gedaliah, that could bring about the Babylonians once again, and start this whole process all over. And so there's this really fragile nature that exists over this nation right now. And yet Gedaliah is saying no, probably because he thought that this would have been a foolish move, and didn't want to stir up the Babylonians. So what am I learning out of all this? For me, when I look at Jeremiah chapter 40, I see that there are forces that work for and against the rebuilding of this nation, of God's people. You have Nebuzaradan, who comes in, who would be given instruction to really care for Jeremiah, to give him provisions and give him this opportunity to help with the rebuilding of his nation, of his people. And then you also have this assassination plot that is working against the rebuilding. All of this working for and against what is happening with God's people. We need to be aware of that even today. There are forces that are working against the rebuilding of God's nation, God's people. And there are also forces that are working for this movement. And so, where are they? Do we recognize them? Are we able to work with those that are for us, and to pray against those that are against us? Amen. All right. Once again, thank you everyone for joining and being a part of this time together. Good morning to you, Sonny. Thank you so much for joining and giving your time over to the Lord. Man, the Lord's going to really work mightily through each and every one of us. Hey, Sonia, thank you. Good to see you. Yay! Can't wait to see you back here in the Bay. Yeah, be safe, everyone. As we're traveling, some of us are traveling back and forth. Be safe. We're going to continue praying for one another, and yeah, and let's continue to focus our prayers for all the different families that are going through different things right now. Let's lift them up, and let's continue to cover them in prayers and continue to support them, and to step in wherever we can to really see the work of God being unleashed. All right, with that, God bless you guys. Thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you all soon. Take care.